We spend our whole lives chasing a distant tomorrow. We tell ourselves, one day when I have more money, more success, more security, then I will finally rest. Then I will finally live. But here's the truth most people discover far too late. While you are busy building the life you think you want, you may be walking right past the life you already have. Happiness is not waiting for you at the end of some long road. Sometimes it is sitting quietly beside you, wearing simple clothes, waiting to be noticed. Today's story is about a simple fisherman, a man who owned almost nothing, a small boat, a worn net, and a little hut by the sea. And it is about a wealthy merchant, a man who owned almost everything, yet could not find a single night of peaceful sleep. One conversation on a quiet beach changed the way one of them saw the world forever. And by the end of this story, it might just change the way you see yours. So stay with me till the very end, because the question this fisherman asks could be the most important question of your life. A long time ago, in a small fishing village on the edge of a calm blue sea, there lived a humble fisherman. His home was a little wooden hut with a palm leaf roof, standing just a few steps from the shore. Every morning, before the sun had fully risen, he would push his small boat into the gentle waves, row out past the sandbar, and cast his old net into the water. And every morning, the sea would give him what he needed.
He was not a rich man. He caught only enough, a few fish for his family's meals, a few to trade in the village market for rice and vegetables, and sometimes one or two extra for the old widow who lived alone at the end of the lane. By the time the sun stood high in the sky, his work was done. And then the fisherman left.
He would eat lunch with his wife under the shade of the palm trees. He would take a slow, peaceful nap with the sound of the waves in his ears. In the afternoons, he played with his children on the sand, teaching them to skip stones and mend nets. As evening fell, he would walk along the shore with his wife, watching the sky turn gold and pink and deep, deep orange. And at night, he sat with his friends around a small fire, sharing food, singing old songs, and laughing until the stars filled the sky. It was a small life, a simple life, and to the fisherman, it was enough.
But one morning, everything was interrupted. A wealthy merchant had come to the village. He had arrived from the great city to inspect the harbor and the trade routes, dressed in fine silk clothes with gold rings on his fingers and polished leather shoes that sank awkwardly into the soft sand. He was a man who was always moving, always calculating, always in a hurry. Even as he walked along the beach that morning, his mind was racing with numbers, contracts, and deadlines. And then he stopped. There, beside a small boat pulled up on the sand, lay the fisherman, resting peacefully in the shade, his hat over his eyes, a basket of fresh fish beside him. The sun was still climbing, the day was still young, and this man was sleeping. The merchant frowned. He walked over and cleared his throat loudly. "Excuse me," he said. "Why are you lying here? The sun is still high. The sea is right there. Why aren't you out catching more fish?" The fisherman lifted his hat, looked up at the stranger, and smiled. "Because I have caught enough for today, sir." "Enough?" The merchant almost laughed. "What do you mean, enough? If you went back out right now, you could catch twice as many fish before sunset." The fisherman sat up slowly. "And then what, sir?" "Then you could sell the extra fish and earn more money. said the merchant, his eyes beginning to gleam. "And if you did that every day, you could save enough to buy a bigger boat, a much bigger boat, with a stronger net." "And then what, sir?" "Then, with a bigger boat, you could catch even more fish. You could hire other men to work for you. Soon you could buy a second boat, then a third, then an entire fleet of fishing boats, all working for you." "And then what, sir?" "Then you leave this village. You move to the city, where the real business is done. You sit in a grand office, managing your company. You will be an important man. People will bow when you enter the room. In 15, maybe 20 years, your company will be worth a fortune. And then, my friend, then comes the best part. You sell it all, and you become rich beyond your dreams. Millions." The fisherman was quiet for a moment. The waves rolled gently onto the shore. "And then what, sir?" The merchant spread his arms wide, his face glowing with triumph. Then you can finally retire. You can leave the noise of the city behind and move to a quiet little village by the sea. You can sleep late. You can fish a little in the mornings just for the joy of it. You can eat lunch with your wife under the palm trees, take a nap in the afternoon, play with your children on the sand, and spend your evenings with good friends, singing and laughing around a fire without a single care in the world. Silence. The fisherman looked at the merchant for a long, long moment. Then he looked at his little boat, at his hut beneath the palms, at his children playing by the water, and he smiled, a slow, gentle smile. "But sir," he said softly, "is that not exactly what I am doing now?"
The merchant opened his mouth to answer, but no words came out. He stood there on the sand in his fine silk clothes and his gold rings, and for the first time in 20 years, his racing mind fell completely still. He had spent his entire life climbing a ladder, waking before dawn, working past midnight, eating meals he never tasted, missing his children's childhoods, lying awake at night with his heart pounding over deals and debts and rivals. He had built warehouses and offices and fortunes. And why? For a dream of one day resting by the sea, the very life this simple fisherman was already living. The merchant slowly sat down on the sand, not caring about his expensive clothes. He watched the waves roll in, one after another, patient and unhurried, just as they had rolled for 1,000 years. 20 years, he whispered. For 20 years, I have been sailing toward a shore that you never left. The fisherman shook his head gently. Sir, do not be too hard on yourself. The sea taught me this lesson, not my own cleverness. Every day I watch the tide. It comes in, it goes out. It never rushes, and yet it never stops. It does exactly what it was made to do, no more, no less, and the whole shore is shaped by its patience. I simply decided to live like the tide. The merchant listened, and something in those words settled deep inside his chest, the way an anchor settles into the seabed. He had read 100 books on strategy and trade, attended 1,000 meetings with clever men in tall buildings, and yet no lesson had ever struck him as deeply as this one, spoken by a barefoot man beside a small wooden boat. That evening, the fisherman invited the merchant to eat with his family. They grilled fresh fish over an open fire. The fisherman's wife served rice and warm bread. The children laughed and chased each other in the fading light, and the old widow from the end of the lane came to join them, bringing sweet fruit from her tree. The merchant, a man who had dined in palaces, ate that simple meal on the sand, and later he would say it was the finest food he had ever tasted. That night, lying on a simple mat in the fisherman's hut, listening to the waves, the merchant slept deeply and peacefully for many, many years. When morning came, he stood by his carriage, ready to return to the city. He turned to the fisherman and said, "All my life I believed I was the wealthy one, and men like you were poor. But now I understand. I have spent everything I have, my time, my health, my peace, to buy a life you were given freely, simply because you had the wisdom to recognize it. Thank you, my friend. You have taught me more in one day than the city taught me in 20 years." Before climbing into his carriage, the merchant did something he had not done since he was a boy. He took off his polished shoes, rolled up his silk trousers, and walked slowly into the shallow water, letting the cool sea wash over his tired feet. He stood there for a long time, eyes closed, breathing, and he made himself a quiet promise, a promise not to wait 20 more years to feel this again. And the merchant rode away, but he did not ride away the same man. From that day on, he began to close his ledgers earlier. He began to eat dinner with his family. He began, slowly and deliberately, to stop chasing and to start living. And the fisherman? He pushed his boat into the waves the next morning just as he always had. Nothing about his life had changed, and yet everything had, because now he knew without any doubt that the treasure other men spent their whole lives searching for was already in his hands.
Think about this for a moment, because this story is not really about a fisherman. It is about you and me. We live in a world that is constantly shouting at us to do more, earn more, become more. And there is nothing wrong with ambition. Hard work is noble, growth is beautiful. But here's the question this story forces us to ask. More for the sake of what? If you cannot answer that question, then you are not climbing a ladder, you are running on a wheel. This story carries layers of wisdom, the ladder with no top. The merchant's plan was not evil, it was simply endless. Every step led only to another step. Bigger boat, bigger fleet, bigger company, bigger fortune. Notice that at no point along the ladder did the plan say, "And here you will be happy." Happiness was always at the end. And for so many of us, the end never comes because we keep moving it further away. Enough is a decision, not an amount. The fisherman was not lazy. He rose before dawn. He worked with skill and care. But he knew something most people never learn. He knew what enough looked like. No amount of money can buy contentment for the person who has never decided what enough means. The richest man is not the one who has the most, it is the one who needs the least. The cost of someday. Everything we chase has a price, and the price is always paid in the same currency, time. The merchant paid 20 years of sunsets, 20 years of his children's laughter, 20 years of peaceful sleep, all for a someday that the fisherman enjoyed every single day for free. When you sacrifice your present for your future, be very sure the trade is worth it. Some are, many are not. Presence is the real wealth. The fisherman's riches were not his boat or his catch, they were his attention. He was truly there for his meals, his wife, his children, his friends. The merchant, even when he was home, was never home. His body sat at the table, while his mind sat in the office. You can stand in paradise and see none of it if your mind is somewhere else. Now look at your own life today. Look at the people who sit at your table. Look at the ordinary evening waiting for you tonight. You may think your life is small. You may think you are behind, that everyone else is racing ahead of you. But ask yourself honestly, what is the finish line you are racing toward?
Sleep without worry? Time with the people you love? Quiet mornings? Laughter with friends? Look closely, because some of those treasures may already be sitting in your hands, unnoticed, while you stare at the horizon. This does not mean you should abandon your dreams or stop working hard. Work with all your heart, build, grow, and strive, but do not postpone your life while you do it. Do not tell your children later so many times that later never comes. Do not save all your living for a retirement that is not promised to anyone. The point of the ladder is not the climbing. The point of the ladder is to know which wall you have leaned it against. So always remember these lines. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. Wealth is not measured by what you have gathered, but by how little you need to be at peace. Do not climb so fast that you forget why you started climbing. The best moments of your life will not announce themselves. They will look ordinary: an evening meal, a walk at sunset, a sleeping child, and only later will you realize they were everything. And finally, the life you are chasing may be the life you are already living. Open your eyes before it passes by. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, what is one simple treasure in your life, something money cannot buy, that this story reminded you to appreciate? I read your comments, and your words might open someone else's eyes too. If you believe this story should reach more people, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to stay with us. I'll be back again with another story like this. Until then, be patient, stay grateful, and remember, you may already be holding the life you have been searching for.